Did you know that years of hand cramps and fatigue can all be fixed with one overlooked technique that most bassists never learn? After helping over 500 bass players finally break through years of tension and frustration, I'll show you the simple habit that rapidly boosts stamina and relaxes your fretting hand so you play longer, smoother, and with real confidence at your next jam night or gig. So imagine you have to play a 60-minute gig and just a few songs in, you hit a wall. Your hands start cramping up, you're gripping the neck way too tightly, and that horrible feeling of, oh, I'll never be good enough to play in a band starts to rear its head. So many bass players get stuck at this exact plateau, but there's actually a really simple way to fix all this pain and struggle, and all of it starts with this line of knuckles here. You see, bass players get hand cramps and lose stamina because they make one of two simple mistakes. When they play, bassists either push these joints forward, curving the hand around the neck like this to reach the lower strings, which bends the wrist down and builds up tension here. Or they pull those joints back behind the neck to reach the higher strings like this, which pushes the wrist up and creates tension here. The habit that they're missing is to keep this row of knuckles in line with the neck as much as possible. That keeps your hand in a much more natural and relaxed position and stops you making either of these two tension building mistakes. And if this is the kind of breakthrough you want for your own fretting hand technique, check out my fretting hand technique workshop using the link below. But staying relaxed isn't all there is to becoming a bass player who's got the stamina to go out and play gigs. If you truly want to be confident the next time you go out and play a live gig, you need to step on stage safe in the knowledge that your stamina and your technique can both go the distance. But the good news is, if you know just one more thing about this technique, you'll be able to unlock that kind of confidence building, gig ready stamina in no time. So let's look at that next. Now, the reason those two bad examples cause problems isn't just because they bend your wrists, it's because they make your fingers work harder than they actually need to. When your knuckles are pushed out in front like this, your fingers are pushing back against the bass from an angle where they've almost got no leverage, so they end up working far harder than they need to. Likewise, when they're behind the neck, they still can't generate much power because in this position, they've also got no leverage. But when they're tucked directly underneath the neck like this and a slight pressing motion is coming from the joint where the finger meets the palm, your fingers are at the perfect angle to press the strings down and they have the maximum leverage with which to do it. In simple terms, this hand position gives you the most amount of power for the least amount of effort. And less effort means more relaxation and more endurance. This is the perfect recipe for building stamina that won't fall apart on stage. But now you've learnt this trick, there's a new problem. You see, how do you actually make sure that this technique transfers across to playing actual music? To stop this becoming just another bit of information that sounds good in theory but doesn't transfer across to your playing in practice, I need to show you how to apply this to a real bass line, because it isn't quite as simple as you might think. Playing real songs tests your technique in a totally different way from playing exercises, because real songs require you to use your technique alongside a whole host of other skills at the same time. This is exactly where most bass players hit a wall, and it's why playing songs, even easy ones, can feel impossible when you get on stage, even after you've put in loads of practice. And a great example of this exact plateau is trying to use this fretting hand technique to play Billie Jean. Even as you try to keep your knuckles aligned, you'll notice that the fingerings are a little bit awkward, that your hand wants to twist forward, or that you're not sure whether you should bar certain notes or fret these two. This splits your focus, and that is when mistakes start to creep back in and all your hard work is undone. And before you know it, your hands are aching again, you're gripping the neck way too tightly, and you start to feel like you can't even play a single song, never mind a complete gig. Too many bass players give up at this exact point, thinking that they're just not cut out to play live music. But it's simply a matter of making this technique stick. So here's a great practice technique that helps you do exactly that. If you look at this row of joints, they are naturally not in a perfectly straight line. Like most people, mine actually have a slight curve. So the mistake would be treating all these joints the same and trying to force them perfectly under the neck in a straight line. If you do that, you end up cranking your hand into this weird position that flares your shoulder out like this, and that just causes more tension. Instead, imagine a line on your hand that runs through the average center of those joints. To help your practice, it might even be useful to get out a marker pen and draw that line across your hand. Then as you play, focus less on the notes and making sure that the pressing motion comes from that joint, and keep an eye on that joint line. If you feel your fretting hand fatigue as you go through the line, just glance down, check your technique, and make any adjustments as you need to. Mastering this technique means finally bringing your technique from exercises to playing real songs on stage. So you won't just be practicing music, you will be playing it with real confidence and fluency. So now you've learnt this technique, does that mean you're finally ready to play in a band or nail your next gig? Not yet. Playing with this kind of confidence is like finishing a puzzle, and if you're missing key pieces, you'll keep getting stuck. If you're like most bassists, you're still following awful fretting hand advice that quietly wrecks your technique, your stamina, and your ability to play with others. If you want to finally break the cycle and play bass with total confidence, you need to spot and fix these mistakes next. In my next video, I expose the 4 worst pieces of bad fretting hand advice that are holding bass players back, and I show you exactly what to do instead so you can hold your own at any gig or jam night. So click up here to watch that video and put the next piece of your technique puzzle in place.